What's up, guys? Welcome back to Setting the Edge. Week 18, we have made it to the end of the NFL regular season somehow, some way. Missed a couple episodes here and there, but we are here. I'm joined with my co-host, Tony Schwartz. You can follow him at Tony Schwartz NBA. You know how to get to his content. We always do stuff with Better Edge in the week, playing games. I actually learned something in the past 7 days from Tony Schwartz, is that I never knew until a few days ago that Better Edge, you could do live betting. My God, my life has changed. I am sitting on live betting like it is candy. It's like a little bowl of M&Ms. You know, like when you have a bowl of M&Ms on a table, you just like grab a couple and you just keep eating a couple and a couple more, and before you know it, the bowl is empty. That is how I feel about live events on Better Edge. So I know I'm going to pitch the contest, but you go on there, you click on the live events, you can pitch. So, on an NFL Sunday, if let's say Eagles are about to grab the ball and you think they're going to march down and score and they're down by 7, you can throw out there, hey, I want Eagles -2 or 3, or make a line advantageous. And somebody will take the other side, just like anything else on Better Edge. It's good for you. So I've been able to go in there, and whether I'm putting out my own lines that I think are advantageous, or just keeping refreshing and refreshing and refreshing and refreshing, and waiting for someone to put out something that I don't think is a very smart play, and then just gobbling that thing up. Tony, what's your experience with live betting on Better Edge?
Yeah, college football, especially. I think there's so much potential for Georgia TCU live betting, but fans will just take their team. They're just going to make a really bad line because they want to play their team. And you can take the other side of that. If you're there early enough and you're on the live market in the first quarter, the first team to score is going to get these heavy betting favorites. Just take the other side of the play, no matter who you want to win, because if you make that line work, if it happens, you're going to triple your payout at least. So watch those first quarters in college football, especially in a championship game.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that championship game here in a second. The other thing that I've noticed, and you can do it NFL or college, paying attention to end of halves, who's going to get the ball first. So if you have a team that's going to, finish out the half, maybe you get 3 or 7, then you're also going to get the ball at the start of the third quarter. So now it's like almost, can anywhere between a 3 and 14-point run. That's huge in football, obviously. So pay attention to that stuff. You can we try to teach you a little bit of stuff on here, not too much, because we're also trying to build our bankroll. But we'll jump into the competition. You can go to betteredge.com/setting the edge. It's setting with dashes in between the edge, or go to betteredge.com/5 reasons. Either of those will get you $20 from 5 Reasons Sports from Ethan Skolnick's pocket. We'd love to take money from Ethan. We always advocate for that. This week it is a NFL heavy card. In reality, there's really only one college football game left. That's the national championship between TCU and Georgia. We also have one more on there. That is the North Dakota State and South Dakota State Battle of the Dakotas in the the 1AA championship. So that's in there. But everything else is NFL. For the first time, and maybe thankfully for the eyes of people that want to watch TV on Thursday nights, there is no Thursday night game. So usually we're trying to hustle and get through this Thursday night game. 2 Saturday games, and then everything else is on Sunday. So let's start, Tony, and we're just going to kind of go back and forth. Unfortunately, Andy had a personal matter to deal with. He had kind of a family emergency. Anything that you guys thought about Andy, he's an average bettor, but he's a pretty good guy. So he's going to take care of that. We understand that. Speechless, I left Tony there.
Yeah, the transition was tough. I think I'm going to kick it right into my first pick, and that's how I'm going to manage.
Let's do it.
The holiday season, it switches to Hershey Kisses in the bowl. I've been eating so many fucking Hershey's Kisses. I've gained 10 pounds. We're starting with Cincinnati Bengals, who I think are becoming sort of favorites to compete for this Super Bowl this year. Joe Burrow has them clicking on every single gear. This number that we have right now is 7. That's a tough number to bet. If it was 7.5, I'd probably stay away from it. But I truly do think that they can beat the Ravens by 2 touchdowns this week. I like the over in this matchup as well. I think they run up a check on the Ravens. So Bengals -7, locking that in, and my dog agrees with me.
I was like, what is that? You know what? I don't have anything on that part of the game, but I do have the under in that game. Under 41.5 is one of my plays. The thing to keep in mind this week, and I think the Bengals part of this is probably a good bet. Obviously, there's a little bit of unknowns with what's going to happen, unfortunately, with that game and how that's going to affect the standings. But the Bengals have a lot to play for, and so I think the motivation factor that you're thinking about when you're looking at these games, paying attention to who's playing for something, it doesn't always guarantee. So keep that in mind. There's lots of against the spread data that points out that you don't always want to just assume that the team that is motivated is going to win versus a team that is unmotivated and not playing for anything. But I think in your case here, talking about the Ravens, talking about the Bengals were playing great. Obviously, had a little bit of a setback in that game with their opposing player, but I like the under, and I like that -7. I might jump on that if I have any picks left at the end that I don't know.
To your point, by the way, the Eagles had a chance to lock up the first seed in the entire fucking conference, and they blew a 10-point lead to the Saints. So I'm
trying to pull up as we go. I wanted to pull this up earlier, and I forgot to do it. Playoff scenarios.
There's so many. God, almost every team in football is competing for a fucking wild card right now.
All right, here it is. Bengals and Ravens. Bengals can clinch with 2 wins because they obviously may potentially have another game and or a Chiefs loss. And that's important because if you look at Saturday, I don't know why the NFL did it this way. The Chiefs play on Saturday, so the Chiefs lose. The Bengals have an idea of, kind of what's in front of them. Looking at the Ravens, I don't think the Ravens have to – it's more about where they're going to be versus, like, clinching. They're in no matter what, I believe, because they won last week.
They have their division, don't they? Yeah.
Ravens are 10-6. They can't catch. Well, I guess they technically could catch the Bengals. The Bengals lost twice.
They could,
but I think the Bengals would beat them twice. This is really bad content, so we should probably just. I don't know.
We said before the show started we have no prep for this, and it shows.
Yeah, this is end of the season. We should have just kind of know. All right, let me jump in. I was talking about Saturday games, and I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders +9.5 against the Chiefs. I took last week the Denver Broncos in kind of a shocking fashion, but I was motivated by the fact that Nathaniel Hackett wasn't there and they came through. They almost beat the Chiefs, but they definitely covered. The Chiefs don't really cover big numbers. I don't have data in front of me, but I know that when I was looking at that numbers last week, they have a hard time. This one's 9.5. I wish it was 10, but last week it was close to 2 touchdowns. I'm going to go Raiders +9.5. Prayers for Derek Carr since he's not there, but they'll get it done. 9.5 is a good number.
I have to take and bury it in the backyard. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers is still kicking, guys. Rumors of his demise have been highly exaggerated. Putting up 41 points on a pretty okay Vikings defense. They rank about middle of the pack in DVOA. Sometimes they peak into like the top 10. They're playing just a god-awful Detroit Lions defense. But, 4.5 is still kind of a weird line. I think the Vegas is expecting the Lions to score a lot of points on the other side of the ball, but the Packers really are clicking, man. So I'm going to take them. Packers -4.5 is my second play. And honestly, that should have been my first. That's my bet the house special right there.
In honor of Andy right there.
I know.
The Packers are definitely playing for something from what I recall. They definitely need to get a win to get in there. They play the Lions. If they win, they clinch.
Yep.
Simple. Get it done. I actually am also on the Packers -4.5. For that reason, I think the motivation factor is big. I think that they're going to be able to get in there. Tony, just FYI, your camera has.
I'm working on it. I got the Juan Carlo Naves going on right now. I'm working on it.
Just letting you know. All right, so we're both on the Packers -4.5. The next one that I have is actually, I feel like we might be opposite on this one because I know some of the teams you kind of like and how you like to go. I'm going Titans +3.5. Josh Dobbs, I know at quarterback, it's kind of concerning, but Derrick Henry, I think, is going to play. He's been practicing all week with him. Right. I think that I think the Titans, I think they're just kind of one of those teams. I know they're 7-9, and you're playing this game essentially for the division. Jaguars are 8-8, so Saturday night should be hopefully a good game. But I think the Titans, against the Jaguars team that have never really, as this is constructed, been in this spot. I think the Titans can hang close. And then I have, obviously, if they win, I already got it. So Titans plus 3.5.
I have to bury another take. I have to bury another one. I don't know if it's just this week or if it's the division or what the hell is making me feel so confident about this play. But Bucks with a chance to clinch and 3 points. You're giving me points with Tom Brady going into Atlanta. I got to do it, man. I'm taking Tampa Bay plus 3. This is an under game, pounding the under. As a matter of fact, screw it. That's my second play. I'm taking the under here. So this is a 2-for-1. Okay. But Tampa plus points and then under 40.5. Such a freaking great number. If you can lock that in on Better Edge, legit, do that.
Yeah, that's a good number. I'm staying in that division. A lot of these games obviously are division games because they want to be able to play out in that week 18. I'm going Panthers plus 3.5. I thought the Cinderella there for a while was going to make it to the ball. The dance with the Panthers got it going. Steve Wilkes did a good job. Who knows if he's going to end up getting the full-time job? He probably deserves it, but they're dancing with Harbaugh possibly or whatever is going to go on. They kind of have a little bit of question what's going on with that. But at 6-10, they've been playing hard. The Saints, they're eliminated. The Panthers are eliminated. Nobody's playing for anything. Give me 3.5 points in that situation, and we'll see what happens. Apologies to Ray for that one as we're piling on the Saints once again.
I have to believe that the Eagles beat themselves, okay? I cannot believe the Saints figured it out against the Philadelphia Eagles last week. That can't be the case. I'm in a bad spot.
I apologize. I was on the Saints last week, so I understand.
Look, I have to make this weekend interesting, all right? And if I know one thing about FCS football, okay, it's North Dakota State doesn't lose in championship games. All right. The only reason I know that is guess where Carson Wentz came from? North Dakota State, I think. But there was a big ESPN news story about how these guys went to 7 championship games. They win them out with their favorited or underdogs or whatever. So you're telling me that the North Dakota State Bison have 5 points in this matchup in our competition? I'm smacking that because apparently all they do is win. So give me North Dakota State Bison in the whatever bowl this is. I already forgot.
It is the FCS or 1AA championship. I don't even know what it's called. The Dakota Bowl, apparently.
The Dakota Bowl.
I am also on the Bison because Bison are mean animals. Bison versus a jackrabbit, there's no doubt Bison. I was out in Montana over the summertime. We did some hiking. We saw some Bison. They're big, ugly. They got like mud and crud all over them. I'm definitely going with the Bison in this case.
They bring their lunch pail to work, Sean.
They do. That is one thing that is guaranteed about a Bison. If we're doing analysis based on animals, the North Dakota Bisons are for sure. Speaking of animals and speaking of guarantees in Week 18, who would you rather trust in Skylar Thompson or Mike Glennon behind center? Dolphins, baby. Dolphins minus 1.5. They know what's in front of them. Somehow Mike McDaniel's playing for his job. Who knows what the hell is going to happen? I hope as long as they win and maybe get in, maybe Stephen Ross gets excommunicated or something happens to him to get rid of him because what a disaster. But prayers up to Tua. It's unfortunate what's happened with them. But I'm going with the Dolphins minus 1.5. I have Dolphins money line is the bet that I made a little bit earlier today on Better Edge, minus 120. I bought the whole thing of this guy. Had some money sitting out there. I was like, yep, take the whole thing. So
I love when someone makes it very easy for me and the bet's $8.50. I'm like, yeah, I'll just grab that. Why not? Add it to the cart. Add it to the cart. I'm gonna continue this trend of fading the Denver Broncos until it's just not profitable. Nathaniel Hackett or Hugh, if they get Hugh to come out of retirement to coach football again, whoever they want to get is their next inept coach over in Denver. We're going to keep the good times rolling. Minus 3.5, Los Angeles Chargers. There's a real quarterback in LA. There's not one in Denver right now. So it's pretty simple for me. 3.5 points is a little weird, but I'm taking the Chargers.
I like that. I like that. Prayers. What do you think Nathaniel Hackett's doing right now?
Man, probably eating a great burger. He has a nice condo somewhere. You know, it's just watching Andy Reid do everything that he wants to accomplish as a coach.
That man worked for 16 weeks to get paid millions for 3 years. Like, that's crazy. To be that bad at your job.
He's about to go get SEC money probably. So it's good. You know, it's going to continue.
He'll be like the offensive advisor for Nick Saban. That's what it was. Anytime you get fired from your job because you suck in the NFL or you like get caught doing blow and hookers and stuff in the Pac-12 or something, you go be Saban's assistant. Speaking of blows and over, I'm going to go Vikings. Vikings over. I've been pounding that every week. They score points on offense. They don't stop anybody on defense. The Vikings 12-4. They have clinched their division. The Lions are 8-8. The Bears sinking down 3-13. It sounds like Fields is going to play early. He's in striking range of, I think, the all-time rushing record for a quarterback in a season. I think it's Michael Vick's record, I would assume. Yeah. So he may not play the entirety, but I think both of these teams, I think it's going to be a sloppy mess, but I think they'll get some points up there. So over 45.5, not a whole lot of points in that total anyways.
You know, speaking of hiring coaches at places, do you think that Texas Tech just breaks up Joey's contract and lets Nathaniel Hackett run the show there?
Not a bad idea there. Well, I mean, what do you think? If Nathaniel Hackett went to Texas Tech where they routinely score like 55, 60 points, they'd be locked in for like 10 to 13 points a week.
Yeah.
What a joke.
We're gonna win it on defense, my boys. Manny is quite possibly going to cut the fucking cord when I say this. I really wanted to take a points total for this game, but I really don't think there's going to be that many points. The Eagles are working through a lot of stuff right now, and while I think they ultimately win this game, it is still a rivalry game. The New York Giants still can run the ball. Eagles have some issues picking up run right now, especially in the trap when they get those DTs put out in space. So I'm going to be taking Giants plus 14. That's just too many points in a rivalry game at the end of the year. Too many points.
I'm opposite. Sing it with me, Manny. Fly, Eagles, fly.
The one fucking time all year.
14 points. I got the faith. Jalen will go out there. They'll be all right. They're just so the thing about it is the truthful thing, and I think all three of us will agree, and as a non-Eagles fan, but in Philly, understanding what's going on, these injuries, they just keep mounting. It's unfortunate because they have a very good team and they have had a very good season. So I just hope that hopefully they can win. That would mean they'd have the bye, gives you a week to get healthy and be ready to go, for those next two rounds. Because it's even if I'm not really an Eagles fan, it's cool to be in the city. Like when the Phillies were going on that run, it was great to be in the city for that. So, and maybe I get a day off of work or something. There's a parade. I'll go for that. All right, you want to go next because we were opposite. I kind of used my pick, but which way you want to go?
So earlier I took two, so it just works better if you take this one, and then we'll reset from there.
Perfect. Well, I only have one left, and my one last one is going to be on that national championship game. Do you know where you're at on your numbers?
I have 7 picks so far, if I did this right.
Okay. I will. You want me to give my national championship, and then we'll.
Let me take one because we're going to double up on the championship, and I know we are.
Okay.
As I scroll through the valley of death here. Let me go under Los Angeles Rams, Seattle Seahawks, under 41.5. I love that half point there. If it was anything less, I wouldn't go. But the two games I'm flirting with on unders are that and the Jets Dolphins, which I might circle back to, but I'll leave it off for now.
So you did Rams, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jets unders?
So far it's just Seattle Rams, and I'm debating Dolphins unders.
Yeah, that's another thing I think is obviously paying attention to who's playing, who's not, who's motivated, who's not. And those games, I mean, you just got to think with those bad quarterbacks, unders are going to be. But you also got to think about those guys throwing pick sixes and like turning it over in their own, end of the field. But
sacks and pick sixes for some reason right now are just going off.
Yeah. All right. You want to talk national championship game?
They couldn't give me enough points, man. They could have made this line. Oh, you might be going the other way. I love that face. They could have made this line 15, 17 and a half. If it was 20, I might be a little scared, but they didn't even scratch the surface. 12 and a half points. We watched the national championship last weekend, boys. Ohio State gave them everything they had. Everything. And on a game that I didn't think Georgia played its best football, still scratched away a win. I think their best football is still ahead of them. They're able to execute against TCU. There's just no doubt. You saw that athleticism. You saw that size on full display. And hope if Georgia can put it together before the fourth quarter, they cover this spread. 12 and a half points. Lock it in, Georgia. Go Dogs.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I lost my ass on that Georgia game because I thought they were just going to lose. And I especially lost my ass on the Michigan game. I was able to recover a little bit because that's when I got introduced to the live betting feature on Better Edge. Thank you for that. And betting in-game stuff and getting the right number. Looking at the line, so it opened up at 14 and a half, depending on where you looked. It's down to 12 and a half. That's what we have on our competition for Better Edge. It's kind of fluctuated between 13 and a half and now 13, 12 and a half. The total in our competition is 62 and a half. That opened up at 62 and a half. And you can find it 63 most places. It took a really quick drive down to 60 and a half. I think the under is the right side in this game. And my play is going to be the under. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I say that under 62 and a half is my play. The reason why I made that face is because, yes, I think Georgia's going to win. I just have this weird feeling of a lower scoring game than most people think. And if I think it's going to be under 62 and a half, I start to think about the points, because if essentially you have to cover 14, what's the combination that Georgia wins a low scoring game and beats them by, could they shut them out? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like they could win 45-0, 45-7. But I agree with your analysis. 100%. Georgia played probably one of its worst games of the season and found a way to win because Buddy kicked it straight to the left. But I think Georgia wins, don't get me wrong. And I think 12 and a half is an interesting number. Anything above 14, I'm definitely going TCU, but I'm going to stick with the under in this one.
I'm trailing that in real life, man. I'm not afraid to admit it was $75 is a healthy amount of change for me, but it was $75. That Georgia game ripped me up. Ripped me up. I turned that shit off at the third quarter. We're gonna make the last play. Dolphins Jets 38.5 under. It's a good number. Both of those teams are going to be struggling right now to find a way to win, but it's going to be a cat fight.
Yep. All right. We're all good. We got our 10 picks in each. We've been doing draft style. We'll have to adjust a little bit as we move forward. Obviously, the next show will be next week. College football will be over. Even with the wild card round, I don't think there's going to be enough games to do 10 picks, so we'll adjust a little bit. I can't think of what we did last year during the NFL playoffs, but I'm sure we'll find a way to make it work. So you guys have.
We should weight them.
We could do that. Yeah, we could do it wager wise. You could wager on each of the games. I know that's one of the features in the competition section. So definitely check that out. You can definitely bet on the games individually. Like I said earlier, check out the live market. There are player prop markets too. I haven't really figured out how those work, but I don't know.
There's no volume. There's no volume, so it doesn't work.
I've been trying to figure out how I can put my own numbers out on there, but I don't think there's enough volume to make that work. So I'll check out with Tyler and Greg, see if those guys can get me a setup or some FAQ or something on that one. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for Tony. Thanks for Andy, who almost made it, had to deal with some stuff, so we're sad not to have him here, but he'll be back next week. He is also the pacer this week. So it could be, I'll be very honest, I trust Andy, but he could be dodging us. He's trying to, he didn't want to do the draft. He's trying to do some more research. investigating the Bisons versus the Jackrabbits. Whatever the heck he is. I mean, he didn't want to come back on and talk about Desmond Riddler or whatever the hell he calls him. Anyways, thank you guys for coming in.
I'm clipping that, by the way. I'm clipping that, and whenever we do officially make our page for Setting the Edge, that's the very first thing I want our viewers to see.
The Riddler. All right, Manny, thank you for producing, and thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.